Get ready to dive into the terrifying tale of Art the Clown from the Terrifier sequel. While the movies leave us guessing about his dark origins, this story reveals how an innocent child was transformed into a malevolent force. Prepare yourself for a journey into horror like never before.
For years, the quiet suburban streets of Middlebrook were a place of safety, where children rode their bikes until sunset and neighbors gathered for weekend barbecues. But beneath the surface, something far more sinister festered in a house just a few blocks away. The man who lived there was known by many as Ronald "Rusty" Parker, a local handyman and part-time children's entertainer who often performed as Art the Clown. With his wide, exaggerated smile and oversized shoes, no one suspected that behind the painted mask lurked a predator. Rusty's past was a dark shadow that few in the town knew about. He had grown up in the very same town, but his childhood was anything but idyllic. His father was a harsh man, always reminding Rusty that he wasn't good enough, wasn't smart enough, wasn't strong enough. His mother was no better, neglecting him in favor of his siblings, who excelled in everything that Rusty failed at. Loneliness became his only friend, and as the years wore on, that loneliness turned into something far more dangerous. By the time Rusty was a young man, the seeds of hatred had taken root in his soul. Hatred for the town that had ignored him, for the parents who had rejected him, and most of all, for the children who reminded him of what he could never be. Loved. One day, suddenly, disappearances started. Young boys vanishing without a trace. Parents were growing anxious, but no one connected the dots. Art the Clown had done well to hide his darkness, always charming, always helpful. He used his clown persona to lure them. Dressed in his outfit, he performed magic tricks and silly routines at birthday parties, making sure to keep a keen eye on any boy who appeared vulnerable or alone. It was easy to earn their trust. Who would suspect a man in a clown suit? After the parties, he would offer the boys rides home or promise them fun toys and games at his place. Inside his house, he had set up an elaborate trap, a room filled with old discarded toys he'd salvaged from garage sales. Rusty would invite the boys in with the promise of letting them pick out a toy, luring them down to his basement, which he had made to look like a carnival attraction. The air smelled musty and damp, but his victims didn't notice until it was too late. Once the door clicked shut behind them, the mood would shift. The bright, cheerful facade would crumble, and clown, true nature emerged. The playful voice of Art the Clown would fade, replaced by an ominous thick voice, and then massacre beings. No one who entered his basement ever left. Every time he kills his victim in a unique manner, as if each kill brought him closer to releasing the hatred he had bottled up for so many years. He saw himself as an artist, creating a twisted tableau of misery and innocence lost. Rusty would bury the bodies in the crawl space beneath his house. He dug with precision, knowing that no one would ever look in such an unassuming place. As the months passed, the crawl space became filled with the remains of his young victims, dozens of shallow graves, all hidden just beneath the surface. The earth was his secret, a graveyard for the forgotten children. He convinced himself he was doing the world a favor, cleansing it of innocence, just as his own had been stolen. But the police were closing in. A chance encounter with one of the boys who had narrowly escaped the clown clutches brought detectives to his doorstep. It was a chilly winter afternoon when the doorbell rang at the clown's door. The house was old, but something about it felt wrong, like it was swallowing the light around it. The officer at the door was greeted by Rusty, still in his clown makeup, his face frozen in a grotesque smile. He wiped his hands on his stained apron and welcomed them in with unnerving politeness. "Can I help you, officers?" Rusty asked, his voice unusually high-pitched, as if the clown persona had slipped into his everyday life. The detectives exchanged glances, their expressions tight with unease. They were here on a routine check, a wellness call after yet another boy had gone missing days earlier. Rusty was one of the last people to have seen the boy, according to witnesses. "Just a few questions, Mr. Parker," one detective said, scanning the dark, cluttered living room. Old toys and a half-assembled train set littered the floor. "Mind if we take a look around?" Rusty hesitated, his smile faltering just for a moment. Of course, but there's not much to see here. As they stepped further into the house, the air grew thick and musty, like something decaying was hidden beneath the surface. The detectives noticed the strange smell. Rusty began to fidget, his pale fingers twitching as he wrung his hands together. "Must be the pipes," he muttered, glancing nervously toward the basement door, which was slightly ajar. Old house, you know. But the smell wasn't coming from the pipes. One of the detectives, a seasoned officer who had worked homicide for over 2 decades, followed the scent, his instincts leading him toward the basement. With every step, the unease in the air seemed to grow, pressing in like a physical weight. Rusty trailed behind, his cheerful demeanor slipping further, eyes darting nervously between the officers. When the detective opened the basement door fully, his flashlight cut through the darkness. What he saw at the bottom of the stairs made his blood run cold. Crudely dug trenches lined the floor, covered hastily with tarp and dirt. His heart pounded as he descended, his partner following close behind. Rusty stayed at the top of the stairs, gripping the railing, his clownish smile now a twisted grimace. As the detectives pulled back the tarps, the horror beneath was revealed. Shallow graves, filled with decomposing bodies, some just bones, others more recently added. Rusty's basement was a graveyard. The detectives called for backup, their voices tight with disgust and fear. Rusty didn't run. He didn't even try. Instead, he stood at the top of the stairs, his clown makeup smudged and streaked, almost laughing to himself, muttering something incoherent about making them laugh. When they arrested him, Rusty didn't resist. His eyes were wide, almost manic, but his painted smile was now a permanent fixture of his face, a grotesque reminder of the man he had been. As they led him away, neighbors gathered in disbelief, watching from their windows as the man they had trusted to entertain their children was shoved into the back of a squad car. They would later learn the full scope of his horrors. Dozens of boys and young men had been lured to their deaths by the clown, but in that moment the streets were quiet, save for the distant wail of sirens and the unsettling echo of Rusty Parker's final performance. His smile was now the stuff of nightmares, and the small town of Middlebrook would never be the same.
Stay haunted and curious as we explore the realm of fear together in the Horror Vault. If you have a real horror story you'd like featured, leave a comment or reach out to us. Be haunted and curious and stay tuned for upcoming videos with us. Let's dive into the realm of fear with the Horror Vault.